2 days later, the silver sedan returned. This time it pulled in just as the afternoon light slanted low across the lot, turning the dust in the air gold. Marcus was under an old pickup when he heard the familiar soft hum of the engine. He slid out on the creeper, wiped his forehead with the back of his wrist, and stood. The woman stepped out first, same tailored coat, but her face looked tighter, like sleep had been short and worry long. She opened the back door without a word. Lena emerged in her wheelchair, wearing a different sweater today, gray with tiny stars stitched along the collar. Her eyes found Marcus right away, steady and waiting. The woman pushed the chair closer. "It happened again," she said quietly. "The car died on the highway. We barely made it off the road." Marcus nodded. No questions yet. He walked to the front, lifted the hood, and started checking what he'd already touched. Everything looked solid. No loose wires, no obvious fault. Lena watched from her spot near the bay door. Her small fingers curled over the armrests. It hesitated first, she said, almost to herself, like it wanted to stop, but didn't yet. Then it just went quiet. Marcus turned to her. "You were listening close." Most people don't catch that hesitation. Lena's shoulders lifted in a tiny shrug, but her eyes softened, like the words had landed somewhere safe. Her mother stood off to the side, arms crossed tight, staring at the concrete floor. Marcus closed the hood gently. "I can't find anything wrong right now. Might be intermittent. Hard to catch unless it acts up again." The woman's jaw tightened. "We can't keep breaking down. It's not safe." Marcus heard the strain in her voice, the kind that came from more than car trouble. He looked at Lena again. "You ride in this car a lot?" Lena nodded. "Every day. School therapy, doctors." Her mother shifted her weight, uncomfortable. Marcus wiped his hands on the cloth. "Tell you what, leave it here overnight. I'll run a full diagnostic, check every sensor. You can pick it up tomorrow." The woman hesitated, glancing at her watch. "We have appointments." "I can call a ride for you," Marcus offered. "Or there's a waiting area inside. Coffee's old but hot." She looked at Lena, then back at him. "We'll wait." They moved inside the small office attached to the shop. Plastic chairs, a scarred table, a calendar from 3 years ago still showing July. Lena rolled herself to the window, where she could see the sedan up on the lift. Her mother sat stiffly, phone in hand but screen dark. Minutes passed in quiet. The only sound was the occasional clink of tools from the bay and the low hum of the radio playing faint old soul songs. Lena broke the silence. "Do you fix everything that comes in here?" Marcus leaned in the doorway, arms folded. "Most things. Some you patch. Some you replace. Some you just help last a little longer." Lena thought about that. What if something's been broken a long time? Marcus met her gaze. "Depends on what kind of broken. Some breaks heal stronger if you give them the right support. Others need you to stop forcing them the wrong way first." The woman's head lifted sharply, but she said nothing. Her fingers tightened around the phone. Lena looked down at her legs, hidden beneath the blanket. The supports underneath were rigid, expensive custom. She touched one strap lightly, then pulled her hand back like it was habit. Marcus noticed. He didn't comment. Instead, he asked, "You like watching work out there?" Lena nodded. "I like knowing how things connect. When you know that, you can figure out what's wrong." "Smart," Marcus said. "Most folks never learn that part. They just want to fix fast." Lena's voice dropped lower. "Some things people decide are wrong, even when they're not sure." Her mother stood abruptly. Lena looked up, face calm. "It's okay, Mom. I'm just talking." The woman sat back down slowly, but her breathing was shallow now. Marcus felt the air thicken, like a storm gathering inside four walls. He kept his voice steady. "Sometimes people decide too quick what can be fixed. Makes it easier than admitting they might be wrong." The woman's eyes flicked to him, sharp and guarded. "You don't know anything about us." "No, ma'am," Marcus agreed. "I don't, but I know engines. And I know when something's being held too tight. It stops working the way it should." Lena's gaze moved between them, quiet, taking it all in. Outside, the light faded to dusk. The shop lights buzzed on, casting long shadows. Marcus stepped back into the bay. giving them space. But Lena's next words followed him. I felt something today. When the car hesitated, I felt it in my legs too, like a tremble. Her mother froze. Lena, don't. But Lena kept her eyes on Marcus's back. It's true. The room went still. Marcus turned slowly. The woman's face had gone pale, her composure cracking at the edges. Lena looked small in the chair, but her voice didn't waver. Nobody asked me if I felt anything anymore. They just told me what I would feel forever. Marcus took one careful step closer, not crowding, just present. And what do you feel, Lena? She swallowed, glanced at her mother, then back to him. Something. Not nothing. Not yet a lot, but something. Her mother's hand covered her mouth, eyes shining with sudden wet. The silence stretched, heavy and aching, until the only sound was the soft tick of the wall clock, counting seconds none of them wanted to lose. The next morning brought rain, steady and gray, drumming on the shop's tin roof like impatient fingers. Marcus arrived early, unlocking the door with keys worn smooth from years of use. The silver sedan sat where they'd left it, silent and waiting. He ran the diagnostics as promised, screens flickering with data that confirmed his hunch. Intermittent electrical fault, tricky but fixable. As he worked, his thoughts drifted to Lena and her quiet admission from the day before. Something, not nothing, words that carried the weight of unspoken years. By noon, the rain eased, and the sedan purred reliably again. Marcus was wiping down the dash when he heard tires on wet gravel. Another car, this one larger, a dark SUV with plates that screamed authority. It stopped abruptly, and a man stepped out, tall and broad-shouldered in a suit that fit, like it was made for him. His face was sharp, lined with the kind of fatigue that came from boardrooms and late nights. He scanned the lot, eyes landing on the sedan, then on Marcus. "Is that our car?" he asked, voice clipped and commanding. Marcus straightened. "If you're here for the silver one." "Yes." "Fixed now." The man nodded once, pulling out a phone. "I'll have someone pick it up." He glanced inside the shop, dismissive. "How much do I owe?" Marcus named a fair price. The man handed over cash without counting. More than enough. "Keep the change." As he turned to leave, Marcus spoke up. "You Lena's father?" The man paused, turning slowly. "Why?" "She was here yesterday. Nice kid. Observant." The man's expression hardened, but something flickered behind it. A shadow of distance or regret. "Yes, I'm Victor Kane." He said it like the name should mean something. Marcus didn't react. Victor Kane, the tech billionaire whose company dominated half the city skyline, buildings stamped with logos for software that ran hospitals, schools, governments. Powerful, yes, but rumors whisper of a man broken by loss, emotionally walled off since his wife's passing years ago. No, that couldn't be. Lena had a mother, or a stepmother. Marcus kept his face neutral. She mentioned feeling something in her legs. Victor's jaw tightened. "That's not possible." Doctor said. He stopped, waved it off. "She's a child. Imagines things to cope." Marcus leaned against the sedan. "Maybe, but kids know their own bodies better than we think." Victor's eyes narrowed. "You a doctor now?" "No, just a mechanic. But I listen when something doesn't add up." Victor stepped closer, voice low. "Stay out of it. You fix the car. That's all." He got back in the SUV, drove off without another word. Marcus watched him go, the rain starting up again. Hours later, the mother arrived alone to collect the sedan. She paid the exact amount, no more. "Thank you," she said quietly. Marcus handed her the keys. "Your husband stopped by." Her face paled. "Victor? Here?" Marcus nodded. "Seems like a man carrying a lot." She looked away, rain streaking the window. "He's not been the same since the accident. Pushes everyone away, including Lena. Thinks control keeps her safe." Marcus felt the pieces shift. "What accident?" She hesitated, then spoke softly. "For years ago, a fall at home. Doctor said permanent damage. Victor threw money at specialists, equipment, everything. But he couldn't fix it, so he built walls instead. Systems to manage her care. Protocols that decide everything. No risks, no questions." Her voice cracked. It broke him more than her. Marcus nodded slowly. And you? I'm trying to hold it together. For Lena. But the system, it's everywhere. Schools that won't adapt, communities that stare, authorities that question every choice. She straightened. Anyway, thank you again. As she drove away, Marcus stood in the rain, the shop quiet around him. He thought of Lena's innocent eyes, vulnerable in a world that had already decided her limits, and Victor's distant armor cracking under its own weight. Something was building here, a tension that wouldn't stay contained much longer. The following week, the silver sedan returned for the third time, but this time it rolled in slowly, almost hesitantly, as if the driver wasn't sure she should be there. The rain had stopped days ago, leaving the air crisp and the streets steaming under a weak December sun. Marcus was closing up early when he spotted it. He waited by the open bay door, hands in his pockets. The mother stepped out alone at first, her coat unbuttoned despite the chill, her face drawn with exhaustion that no amount of composure could hide. She looked at him for a long moment before speaking. "Can we talk inside?" Marcus nodded and led her into the small office. She didn't sit. Instead, she stood near the window, watching the empty lot. "Lena's been asking to come back here," she said quietly. "Not for the car. For you." Marcus leaned against the counter, giving her space. "Kids get ideas sometimes. It's more than that." She turned to face him. She's been quieter at home, drawing pictures of tools, asking questions about how things work under the hood. And she keeps touching her legs, saying she feels tingles, like pins and needles, but deeper. The woman's voice wavered. "The doctors say it's phantom sensation, wishful thinking, that her nerves are too damaged for real signals." Marcus kept his expression steady. "And what does Lena say?" "That it started the day the car hesitated, that she felt the engine stutter in her body too, like they were connected somehow." The woman wrapped her arms around herself. "Victor doesn't want to hear it. He says we're encouraging false hope, that if we push this, she'll only get hurt worse when nothing changes." Marcus nodded slowly. "Powerful men like that, they build empires on certainty. Hard to admit when something might be wrong, especially when it's about their own child." The woman looked down. "Victor wasn't always like this. Before the accident, he was present, read to her every night, carried her on his shoulders. But after the fall, after the diagnoses, he couldn't fix it with money or influence. So he funded the best equipment, the strictest protocols, turned her care into a system no one could question, including him." Her eyes filled. "The school follows the same plan. No standing attempts, no unsupported movement. They say it's for liability. The community center won't let her join regular activities. Too risky, they say. Even neighbors look away, like her chair makes them uncomfortable. It's all designed to protect her, but..." She trailed off, voice breaking. "But it feels like they're protecting everyone else from her, from having to see, from having to wonder." Marcus felt the weight of it settle deeper. Systems like that don't break easy. They grind slow, make you doubt yourself first. The woman wiped her eyes quickly, regaining control. "Lena asked me this morning why no one believes her when she says she feels something. I didn't have an answer. That's why I'm here. Not for the car. I don't know what I'm asking for. Just something." Marcus looked out at the lot, then back at her. "Bring her tomorrow. After school. No appointments, no rush. We'll see what she feels when no one's telling her what to feel." The woman searched his face, wary but desperate. "Why are you doing this?" Marcus thought his own losses, buried years ago, a child he'd failed to listen to soon enough. Because somebody has to ask the kid first. Not the charts, not the experts. The kid. She nodded slowly, like the words hurt and helped at once. "Tomorrow, then." She left without another word, the sedan pulling away smooth and quiet. Marcus stood in the doorway long after it disappeared, the chill seeping in. He knew this wasn't about a quick fix. This was about cracking open a world that had decided Lena's story years ago. And once you start questioning a system that big, it doesn't give ground without a fight. The next afternoon, Lena arrived right on time, wheeled in by her mother, who looked like she hadn't slept. The girl's eyes lit up when she saw Marcus, a small smile breaking through her careful calm. He knelt down. Ready to hang out in the shop today? Lena nodded. Can I watch close? Closer than before. Marcus smiled. As close as you want. They moved into the bay, Lena positioning herself near the workbench. Her mother hovered at first, then sat on a stool in the corner, silent but watching every move. Marcus pulled over a rolling stool for Lena, low enough that she could reach the tools if she wanted. He started on a simple job, an oil change for a neighbor's van, narrating softly as he worked. This filter has been holding too much junk. Needs to breathe again. Lena leaned forward, absorbing, like when braces are too tight. Marcus paused, meeting her gaze. Exactly like that. Sometimes support turns into squeezing if you don't check it regular. Lena looked down at her legs, the rigid supports visible under her pants. She touched one gently. Mine feel tight lately, like they're pushing back. Her mother shifted, but didn't interrupt. Marcus kept his voice calm. What happens when you loosen something that's been tight a long time? Lena thought about it. It hurts at first. Then it feels possible. Marcus nodded. Smart answer. He handed her a clean rag. Want to wipe this dipstick? See how the oil looks? Lena took it carefully, her small hand steady as she followed his guidance. For the first time in a long while, her face held focus without fear. Her mother watched in the corner, eyes shining, as something quiet and fragile began to stir in the air between them all. A possibility no protocol had allowed for. Yet, the days began to blur into a quiet routine. Lena came to the shop 3 afternoons a week, always after school, always with her mother trailing close, but giving more space each time. The bay became their unspoken sanctuary, filled with the low clank of metal and the steady rhythm of Marcus's work. Lena parked her chair beside the workbench, close enough to hand him tools when he asked, her small fingers growing sure with each pass of a wrench or socket. She asked questions constantly. Why certain bolts needed specific torque, how sensors talked to computer, what made an engine hesitate before it quit. Marcus answered every one, patient and plain, never talking down. Her mother sat on the same stool in the corner, watching, sometimes reading emails on her phone, sometimes just staring at her daughter's face as it lit up in ways it hadn't in years. One gray afternoon, Marcus was adjusting the brakes on an old sedan when Lena spoke up without looking away from the caliper he was compressing. My legs feel heavier today, like they're waking up, but mad about it. Marcus paused, rag in hand. Sore heavy or tired heavy? Both. And warm, like blood's moving different. Her mother lowered her phone slowly. Lena hadn't mentioned anything like this at home. Marcus kept his voice even. That can happen when things loosen up. Muscles remember they're there. Lena nodded, thoughtful. The braces don't fit the same anymore. They pinch in new places. Her mother stood, concern sharpening her features. We should get them checked. The specialist said. Marcus interrupted gently. Specialists work off old measurements. Bodies change, especially when they start doing what they were told they couldn't. The woman sat back down, conflicted. Victor would say we're risking damage. Marcus wiped his hands. Risk comes either way. Keeping everything locked forever has its own cost. Lena looked between them. I don't want to go back to how it was. Quiet before. No feeling at all. Her mother's throat worked silently. She reached out, but stopped short of touching the chair. Baby, I just don't want you hurt. Lena met her eyes, innocent but unflinching. I'm already hurt, Mom. Just in a different way now. The words hung in the cool air of the shop, simple and devastating. Marcus turned back to the brake job, giving them the moment. When he spoke again, it was casual, like continuing a conversation about spark plugs. Tomorrow, bring a pair of sweatpants. Loose ones. We'll take a closer look at those braces. See what's doing the pinching. Lena's face brightened. Really? Really. No rush. Just looking. Her mother exhaled shakily, but nodded. Okay. That night at home, the mansion felt larger and colder than usual. Victor was in his study, screens glowing with data that never slept. Lena's mother stood in the doorway a long time before knocking softly. He looked up, tired eyes narrowing. What is it? Lena's feeling more. In her legs. Tingling. Warmth. Soreness. Victor leaned back, rubbing his temple. The doctors explained phantom sensations. It's common. This isn't phantom. She's specific. Places change day to day. And the braces are pinching differently. Victor's voice hardened. We're not adjusting anything without consultation. You know the protocol. The protocol, she repeated quietly. That's what we call it now. Victor stood, pacing. Do you think I like this? Seeing her in that chair every day? I've flown in experts from 3 continents. Paid for equipment most hospitals don't have. I'm doing everything possible. She stepped closer. Everything except asking her what she feels. Victor stopped, jaw tight. She's 8. She doesn't understand the risks. Paralysis progression, contractures, pain flares. Maybe she understands more than we do, because it's her body. Victor turned away, staring out the dark window. We are not gambling with her future, because some mechanic thinks he knows better. He's not gambling, she said softly. He's listening. Victor didn't answer. The silence stretched until she left the room, closing the door with a quiet click. Upstairs, Lena sat on her bed, legs stretched out under loose pajamas. She pressed her palms into her thighs, testing. The sensation was still there, dull ache mixed with faint sparks, like a limb asleep but slowly coming alive. She didn't smile, didn't cry. Just felt it, really felt it, for the first time without someone telling her it wasn't real. Down the hall, her mother stood outside the door, listening to the quiet, heart pounding with fear that felt different now. Not fear of loss. Fear of what might happen if they finally let themselves hope. The next day, Lena arrived in soft gray sweatpants, braces visible beneath the rolled cuffs. Marcus had cleared a space on the workbench, laying out a clean mat. He knelt as she rolled close. Ready to see what's going on? Lena nodded, a little nervous but trusting. Her mother stood nearby, arms crossed tight. Marcus spoke calmly. We're just looking. No big changes today. You tell me stop anytime. Okay. He carefully unfastened the straps, one by one, explaining each step. This hinge controls knee lock. This strap keeps the ankle neutral. Lena watched his hands, absorbing. When the braces came off completely, her legs rested bare on the mat, pale and thin from years of stillness, muscles small but not gone. Marcus didn't touch yet, just looked. Tell me where it pinches when they're on. Lena pointed to spots along her calves, behind her knees. Here, and here, like it's squeezing too hard now. Marcus nodded. Skin's a little red there. Means pressure's shifted. Bodies don't stay the same. Especially not when they start waking up. Lena looked at her bare legs, really looked, toes flexing the tiniest bit without thinking. Mom, look. Her mother stepped closer, eyes wide. The toes had curled slightly, voluntary, small but undeniable. Oh, God, she whispered. Lena tried again, concentrating. The movement repeated, faint but there. Her mother's hand flew to her mouth. Tears instant. Marcus kept his voice steady. That's you doing that. Lena! Nobody else. Lena stared at her feet, wonder breaking across her face, like sunrise. I did that. You did. Her mother knelt, reaching out but stopping short. Baby? Lena looked up at her, eyes shining. It's real, Mom. It's really real. The shop went quiet except for the distant hum of traffic outside. 3 people breathing in a moment none of them had been allowed to imagine before. And in that quiet, the first real crack appeared in the system that had held everything in place for 4 long years. Winter settled in harder, the shop's windows fogging on the inside from the space heater's hum. Lena's visits stretched longer now, her mother no longer checking the time every few minutes. The braces stayed off more often during their time there, resting on the workbench like shed armor. Marcus had made small adjustments, shortening a strap here, softening padding there. Nothing drastic, just enough to stop the pinching and let her skin breathe. Lena's legs lay bare on the mat most afternoons, pale but gaining faint color from better circulation. She flexed her feet deliberately now, toes spreading and curling on command, the movement still weak but growing less timid each day. One Thursday, the sky hung low and heavy with the threat of snow. Lena arrived bundled in a thick coat, cheeks pink from the cold. Marcus had cleared the center of the bay, pushing tool chests aside to make an open space on the clean concrete floor. He laid down 2 thick moving blankets, folded for cushion. Lena rolled in, eyes catching the setup right away. "What's that for?" she asked, curiosity edging out caution. Marcus shrugged lightly. "Floor's cold. Thought we'd try something different today. If you're up for it." Her mother helped transfer her from the chair to the blankets, careful but not hovering. Lena sat cross-legged at first, the way she'd seen other kids do in school photos, something she'd never tried herself. The position felt strange, hips protesting gently but possible. Marcus sat on a low stool nearby, out of reaching distance. "No rush. Just sit, however feels right. Tell me what you notice." Lena shifted her weight, leaning forward to rest her hands on her knees. "My hips feel stretched. Not bad. Just open." She paused, concentrating. "And my feet are flat on the floor. I can feel the blanket under them. Cold at first, then warm for me." Her mother sat against the wall, knees drawn up, watching with a mix of wonder and dread. Marcus nodded. "Good noticing. Now try rocking side to side. Tiny bit. See what your body says." Lena did, swaying gently. Her balance wobbled, but she caught herself with her hands. "I didn't fall." Small laugh, surprised. "That's you holding yourself up?" Marcus said. "Court, doing work it hasn't in a while." Lena rocked again, bolder. "It burns a little in my stomach." "Tired burn?" "Good tired. Like after helping you hand tools a long time." Marcus smiled. "Exactly like that." They stayed like that for 20 minutes, Lena exploring small shifts, leaning forward, back, side, naming every sensation out loud. "Pressure here. Tingle there. Warm spreading down my shins." Her mother's breathing grew shallow, eyes never leaving her daughter. When Lena finally leaned back on her hands, exhausted but glowing, she looked at Marcus. "Can I try kneeling?" The question landed soft but heavy. Her mother tensed. Marcus didn't answer right away. He looked at Lena, really looked. "You feel ready?" "Not excited ready." "Calm ready?" Lena thought about it, head tilted. "Calm ready." "Yeah." Marcus glanced at the mother. "You're called too." She swallowed hard. "If she wants to try, slow." And we stopped the second she says. Marcus nodded. He moved closer, but still didn't touch. "Lena, you lead. Push up when you're set. Use your arms all you want. No shame in that." Lena planted her hands, shifted her weight forward onto her knees. Her legs unfolded slowly, trembling under the new load. She rose inch by inch, knees bending, body rising until she knelt upright, breath coming faster, face flushed, but steady. "I'm doing it," she whispered, knees on the floor. "Weight on them." Her mother made a small sound, half sob, half laugh, hands pressed to her mouth. Marcus stayed quiet, letting the moment belong to Lena. She held a kneel for 10 seconds, maybe 15, then eased back down to sitting, breathing hard. Her eyes found her mother's. "Did you see?" "I saw, baby. I saw." Tears slipped free now, no wiping them away. Lena looked at her own knees, red from the pressure but real. "They held me. They really held me." Marcus spoke softly. "That's a big step. Literally. Rest now. We've got time." Lena leaned back against her mother's legs, the woman finally reaching down to stroke her hair, gentle, reverent. The shop felt warmer suddenly. The heaters hummed softer. Outside, the first snowflakes began to fall, silent against the windows. Inside, no one moved for a long while. Something sacred had just happened on a dirty garage floor, something no amount of money or protocol had managed to buy. And for the first time, the mother let herself believe it might not be taken away. But across town, Victor sat in a glass-walled office high above the city, staring at a text from Lena's school therapist. Noted increased reports of sensation and unsupported movement attempts. Recommend immediate reevaluation to ensure safety compliance. His hand tightened around the phone. He typed back quickly. Schedule it. Tomorrow. Then he set the phone down, stared out the falling snow, jaw locked against the storm building inside him. Control was slipping, and he would do whatever it took to get it back, even if it meant stopping what he'd never allowed himself to hope for. The snow came down thicker the next morning, blanketing the city in a hush that made everything feel slower, more deliberate. Lena's mother drove carefully through the streets, wipers sweeping in steady arcs, her hands tight on the wheel. Lena sat in the back, staring out the white world, quiet but alert. They hadn't told Victor about the kneeling yet, not because they were hiding it exactly, but because the moment still felt too fragile to survive his certainty. When they pulled into the shop lot, Marcus was already there, shoveling a narrow path from the door to the bay. He waved once, breath clouding in the cold. Inside, the heater fought valiantly against the chill seeping through the concrete. Lena transferred the blankets without prompting now, her movements smoother from practice. Marcus had added parallel bars he'd welded himself. Simple pipes bolted to heavy bases, nothing fancy, just stable. Lena's eyes went to them immediately. "What are those for?" "Holding on," Marcus said. "If you want to try pulling up higher today. No pressure. Just there if you need them." Lena nodded slowly, taking it in. Her mother helped remove the braces, setting them aside like they belonged to someone else now. Lena started with the familiar, sitting tall, rocking, then easing onto her knees again. The kneel came easier this time, legs bearing weight, with less tremble. She stayed longer, breathing through the burn. "Good tired," she reported. Marcus sat nearby. "When you're ready, you can use the bars to pull to your feet. Or not, your body decides." Lena looked at the bars, then at her mother. "Mom, will you stand close?" Her mother moved without hesitation, kneeling behind her for support, but not touching yet. "Always." Lena placed her hands on the lower bar, gripped tight, and pulled. Her arms shook first, then her core engaged, legs pushing unevenly. She rose halfway, hips unfolding, then wobbled hard. Her mother steadied her shoulders gently. "Easy. I've got you." Lena paused there, half-crouched, face fierce with concentration. "My knees are locked. Not bad locked. Just straight." She pushed again, harder this time. Her feet flattened fully on the blanket, weight shifting forward. For 3 full seconds, she stood, tall, swaying but upright, before her legs buckled softly and she lowered back to her knees, gasping. The shop went perfectly still. Snow tapped the roof like distant applause. Lena looked down at her feet, then up at Marcus, eyes wide and shining. "I stood. I really stood." Marcus's voice was quiet. "You did. All you." Her mother made no sound at first, just stared at Lena's legs as if seeing them for the first time. Then the tears came, silent and unstoppable, her hands trembling as she reached out to cup Lena's face. "Baby, you stood." Lena leaned into the touch, exhausted but radiant. It hurt, good hurt, like everything's awake now. Her mother laughed through the tears, a broken, joyful sound. "Good hurt is okay. We'll take all the good hurt." They stayed like that, mother cradling daughter on the garage floor, snow falling outside, the world narrowed to this one impossible moment. Marcus gave them space, busy himself with tools that didn't need cleaning. When the crying eased, Lena spoke softly. "Can I try again tomorrow?" Her mother wiped her face. "Every day if you want. As many as you need." But later that afternoon, back home, the mansion's warmth felt false. Victor was waiting in the foyer, coat still on, phone in hand. The school called, then the therapist. "They say you've been attempting unsupported standing." His voice was controlled, but the edges were sharp. Lena's mother stepped in front of the chair instinctively. "She's feeling things, Victor. Real things. We saw it today." She stood. For seconds, but she stood. Victor's face didn't change, but his eyes flickered, something raw flashing before the walls slammed back down. Seconds don't erase years of medical evidence. "We're scheduling a full reevaluation tomorrow. Top neurologist in the country. Flying in tonight." Lena spoke from her chair, voice small but steady. "I don't want another test." Victor looked at her for the first time, really looked. "Sweetheart, this isn't about want. It's about safety. About facts." Lena's chin lifted. But I know the facts now. In my legs, Victor crouched at her level, his powerful frame folding with effort. Lena, I love you more than anything. That's why we listen to experts. Not feelings. Lena held his gaze. You haven't asked me what I feel. Not once. The words landed between them like a stone dropped in still water. Victor stood slowly, turning to his wife. This stops now. No more shop visits. The car stays here. Security will drive you from now on. Lena's mother stepped forward. Victor, you can't, I can, and I will, for her protection. He walked away. Phone already to his ear, arranging flights, tests, consultations, rebuilding the system brick by brick. Lena watched him go, then looked at her mother. Is he scared? Her mother knelt, taking Lena's hands. Terrified of losing control, of hoping and being wrong again. Lena nodded slowly. But hope feels better than being safe all the time. Her mother pulled her close. I know, baby. I know. Outside, the snow kept falling, covering everything in a clean, temporary white. But inside, the fracture lines were spreading fast, and no amount of power or money could hold them closed much longer. Tomorrow would bring tests, questions, demands. But today, Lena had stood, and no one could take those seconds away. The reevaluation happened in a sleek private clinic downtown, all glass walls and hushed voices, the kind of place that smelled like money and antiseptic. Victor had arranged everything. The neurologist flown in from Boston, a full team of therapists, scanners ready on standby. Lena sat in her wheelchair in the exam room, braces back on tight, legs still under loose pants. She looked smaller here, under the bright lights, surrounded by adults in white coats holding clipboards. Her mother stood beside her, hand resting lightly on the chair's handle, while Victor paced near the window. Phone silent for once. The lead doctor, a tall woman with kind but efficient eyes, started with questions. Any pain? Numbness? Unusual sensations? Lena answered carefully. Soreness sometimes. Tingles. Warmth when I move more. The doctor nodded, making notes. Then the physical exam. Reflexes tested, muscles prodded, joints moved through range. Lena stayed quiet, letting them do what they needed, but her eyes stayed on her mother, steady and trusting. When they asked her to transfer to the exam table, Lena hesitated just a second. Mom, can I try standing to get up there? The room went still. Victor stopped pacing. The doctor glanced at him, then back at Lena. We have staff to assist you safely. Lena's voice was soft but clear. I can do it myself. With the bars at the shop, I stood longer than 3 seconds. Victor spoke sharply. There are no bars here. Sit and let them help. Lena's mother stepped forward. Let her show you. Please. Just once. The doctor considered, then nodded to a therapist who brought over a low support rail normally used for adults. Lena positioned her chair close, gripped the rail with both hands, and pushed. Her legs unfolded slowly, trembling hard under braces that now felt foreign and restrictive. She rose halfway, then full height for 4 shaky seconds before easing back down, breathing fast. The room stayed silent. The doctor's eyebrows lifted slightly. That's unexpected. Victor's face was stone. It's reckless. She's straining weakened structures. The doctor turned to him. Mr. Kane, that movement suggests residual motor function we may have underestimated. Possible incomplete injury rather than complete. We need imaging to confirm. Victor shook his head. We've done imaging. Multiple times. The doctor held up a hand. New protocols. Higher resolution. And voluntary control changes everything. Lena spoke up again. I want the pictures. I want to know it's real. Victor looked at her, something cracking behind his eyes. Lena met his gaze. Dad, you always say facts matter. Let's get new facts. The scans took hours. Lena lay still in the machine, the loud clanging echoing around her. Her mother waited outside the room, Victor beside her, but not touching. When the results came back, the team gathered in a conference room with soft chairs and a large screen. The neurologist pointed to glowing images of Lena's spine. See here? The lesion is smaller than previous reports. Some tracts appear intact, not severed, compressed. With targeted therapy, there's potential for significant recovery. Victor stared at the screen, face unreadable. Potential, not guarantee. The doctor nodded. Medicine rarely guarantees. But this isn't the prognosis we gave 4 years ago. Things have changed. Or perhaps, she added gently, we missed something then. Rushed to permanence for caution. Lena's mother let out a breath she'd been holding for years. So what now? Intensive rehab, custom program, bracing adjustments, possible standing frames, walking aids. But most important, listening to her feedback. Her body's telling us what's possible now. Victor stood abruptly. Thank you. We'll review the full report. He walked out, leaving the rest of them in the quiet room. Lena looked at her mother. Is Dad mad? Her mother knelt, smoothing Lena's hair. He's scared, baby. Scared of being wrong. Scared of hoping. Lena nodded slowly. But hope won today. A little. That evening back home, Victor disappeared into his study. Lena's mother helped her into bed. Braces off again. Legs stretched under warm blankets. Lena wiggled her toes, watching them move. Mom, do you think Dad will come see me stand at the shop? Her mother hesitated. I don't know, but I'll be there. Every day. Lena smiled in the dim light. That's enough for now. Down the hall. Victor sat at his desk. The new scan images pulled up on his screen. He stared at them for hours, zooming in on the faint pathways that glowed with possibility. His hand hovered over his phone, thumb tracing the edge. Finally, he opened a message to Marcus, the number pulled from the shop invoice weeks ago. He typed, then deleted. Typed again. Tomorrow. I want to see it for myself. He hit send before he could stop himself. Outside, the snow had stopped, leaving the world clean and waiting. Inside the house, something shifted in the silence. Not healing yet. Just the first honest crack in the wall Victor had built around his heart. And cracks, once started, have a way of spreading until the next morning dawned clear and biting cold. The snow crusted hard underfoot. Marcus arrived at the shop early, brewing coffee stronger than usual, his mind turning over the text he'd received late the night before. Just one line from an unknown number. Tomorrow. I want to see it for myself. He didn't need a name to know who it was. By the time Lena and her mother pulled in, Marcus had the heater running full blast and the blankets laid out again. Lena transferred down eagerly, braces off now almost by habit during these visits. Her legs looked different. Still thin, but with a faint definition returning to her calves. Skin no longer pale, but flushed from effort and better blood flow. She started with kneeling, then pulling up on the bars, holding the stand longer each time. 8 seconds, then 10, before lowering with control instead of collapse. Her mother watched from the stool, pride and worry warring in her eyes. When the crunch of tires on packed snow announced another arrival, a black Range Rover eased into the lot, engine cutting smoothly. Victor Kane stepped out alone, coat collar turned up against the wind, face unreadable. He paused at the open bay door, taking in the scene. The humble shop, the blankets on the concrete, his daughter upright between simple metal bars, hands gripping tight, legs trembling but straight. Lena saw him first. Her grip faltered for a second, body swaying. Dad? The word came out small, uncertain. Victor didn't answer right away. He stepped inside slowly, hands in his pockets, eyes locked on her legs. Lena steadied herself, took a breath, and pushed up again, deliberate, focused. She rose fully, stood for 12 full seconds this time, chest rising and falling fast, then eased back down to her knees with a soft exhale. Victor stood frozen just inside the door, the cold air swirling in behind him. Marcus stayed back near the workbench, silent, letting the moment breathe. Lena's mother rose slowly, but didn't move toward her husband. Victor finally spoke, voice low and rough. How long has this been happening? Lena answered before anyone else could. A few weeks. It started small. Tingles. Then moving my toes. Then kneeling. Now this. Victor's gaze shifted to Marcus. You did this? Marcus shook his head. She did. I just gave her space to try. Victor looked back at Lena. something raw breaking across his usually guarded face. He took one step closer, then another, until he was near enough to see the faint sweat on her forehead, the determined set of her small shoulders. Lena looked up at him. "Do you believe me now?" Victor crouched slowly, bringing himself to her level. His powerful frame seemed smaller suddenly. I don't know what I believe yet, but I saw you stand." His voice cracked on the last word. Lena reached out a hand. "You can feel if you want. My legs are warm. Tired, but warm." Victor hesitated, then gently placed his large hand on her shin. The muscle jumped faintly under his palm. Real, alive. He left it there a long moment, eyes closing briefly. When he opened them, they were wet. "I was so afraid," he whispered. "Afraid if I hoped again and it was taken away, I'd lose you completely." Lena covered his hand with her smaller one. "You didn't lose me. You just stopped looking." Victor's shoulders shook once, a single suppressed sob. He pulled her carefully into his arms, mindful of her position, holding her like she might vanish. "I'm sorry, Lena. I'm so sorry I didn't ask you." Lena wrapped her arms around his neck. "It's okay. You're asking now." Her mother stepped closer, tears streaming silently. Victor reached out with one arm, pulling her in two. The three of them stayed like that on the garage floor, Billionaire in an expensive coat, wife who carried the weight alone, and their brave little girl who'd refused to stay silent, holding each other in the quiet hum of the shop. Marcus turned away, busying himself with unnecessary tools, giving them the privacy they needed. After a long minute, Victor pulled back gently, wiping his face with the heel of his hand. He looked at Marcus. "I was wrong. About a lot." Marcus nodded once. "Happens to all of us." Victor glanced at the bars, the blankets, the unassuming space that had changed everything. "I owe you more than I can repay." Marcus shook his head. "You don't owe me anything. Just keep listening to her." Victor looked back at Lena. "Can I watch you do it again?" Lena smiled, small and real. "Yeah, but you have to promise not to help unless I ask." Victor let out a watery laugh. "Deal." Lena positioned herself once more, gripped the bars, and rose. Slower this time, but steadier. 15 seconds. Victor watched everyone, face open in a way it hadn't been in years. When she lowered, he didn't hide the tears. "That's my girl," he whispered. "That's my brave girl." Outside, the sun broke through the clouds for the first time in days, light pouring into the bay and catching on the snow. Inside, a family began to heal, not perfectly, not all at once, but honestly. And for now, that was more than enough. Spring arrived slowly, melting the last patches of snow into puddles that reflected a clearer sky. The shop's bay door stayed open most days now, letting in fresh air and the distant sound of the city waking up. Lena's visits had settled into a steady rhythm, no longer hidden or rushed. Victor came sometimes, not every day, but often enough that his expensive car in the cracked lot no longer fell out of place. He sat on the same stool her mother once claimed, watching quietly as Lena worked. The parallel bars had been replaced with a simple walker Marcus modified. Lighter frame, adjustable height, wheels that locked when she needed stability. Lena used it now to take real steps, short and careful, across the blankets and then onto the smooth concrete. Her legs had filled out some, muscles building from daily effort, braces redesigned lighter and only for longer outings. She walked 10 steps one day, 15 the next, always counting out loud in her soft voice. One warm April afternoon, Lena arrived with a small backpack, her face serious. Marcus noticed right away. "Something on your mind?" Lena nodded, transferring to the floor mat where she still started each session. "I want to try, without the walker today, just holding hands." Her mother, unloading a water bottle from the car, paused. Victor wasn't there this time. He had a meeting across town, but he'd been encouraging progression, funding quiet physical therapy sessions at home to supplement the shop work. Marcus sat on a stool. "You sure?" "Not excited sure." "Ready sure?" Lena thought about it, flexing her ankles. "Ready sure." "Mom, will you walk with me?" Her mother set the bottle down, eyes shining but steady. "Of course, baby." They started in the middle of the open space. Lena pulled up using the low bar first, standing tall on her own for a moment, balance improving every week. Then she reached out both hands. Her mother took them gently, not pulling, just there. Lena took one step forward, heel to toe, deliberate. Then another. Her knees wobbled slightly, but held. Third step forth. She paused halfway across the bay, breathing hard, face flushed with effort. "You're doing it," her mother whispered. "All by yourself." Lena looked down at her feet, moving one in front of the other. Real steps on real ground. She smiled then, wide and unguarded. "I am." They made it all the way to the workbench, 8 full steps without the walker, before Lena's legs gave a deeper tremble, and she eased down to sit on a low crate Marcus kept nearby. Her mother knelt immediately, arms wrapping around her. "I'm so proud of you. So proud." Lena leaned into the hug, tired but peaceful. It didn't hurt bad, just tired. Good tired. Marcus handed her a water bottle. "Strong work today." Lena took a sip, then looked around the shop that had become more home than any room in the mansion. "Can I ask you something?" Marcus nodded. "Anything. Why did you let us keep coming? Even when Dad was mad. Even when it was just me and Mom sneaking here." Marcus wiped his hands on the ever-present rag. "Because you asked to be heard. And nobody was listening. Simple as that." Lena thought about that. "You didn't fix me. You fixed the quiet." Marcus smiled softly. "That's a better way to say it." Her mother spoke up, voice thick. "We've been talking. Victor, too. The school, they're not set up for this. For her walking now. The program was built around permanent seating. Liability forms, classroom layouts, even the bus lift. They want another meeting to decide if she's still qualified for services, or if she's too mobile now." Marcus frowned. "Too mobile?" Lena's mother nodded bitterly. "If she walks too much, she might lose accommodations, specialized transport, aid support. The system says progress can disqualify you." Lena looked down at her legs. "So if I get better, I get less help?" Her mother stroked her hair. "We're fighting it. Victor's lawyers are involved now, but it's slow. And the community center, called too, said the adaptive sports program has wait lists and rules about level of disability." Marcus shook his head slow. World don't always know what to do with kids who change the story they wrote for them. Lena's face hardened in a way that looked older than Nate. "I don't want to stop walking to keep help." Her mother pulled her closer. "You won't have to. We'll find a way." That evening at home, Victor listened to the recounting over dinner. Lena walking hand held across the shop. The school's pending decision. He set his fork down carefully. "They'll meet with us next week. All of us." He looked at Lena. "You tell them what you told me. That you're still you. Just stronger now." Lena nodded. "Okay. But, Dad, what if they say no?" Victor reached across the table, taking her small hand in his large one. "Then we build something better. Private therapy. Home modifications. Whatever you need. Money's not the issue. You are." Lena squeezed back. "I just want to keep going to the shop." Victor glanced at his wife, then back at Lena. "The shop stays, no matter what they decide. It's yours as long as you want it." Later, in her room, Lena stood at her window without support, holding the sill, watching the sunset paint the sky orange. Her legs held steady for a full minute before she sat on the bed. Progress measured not in miracles, but in ordinary moments like this. Her mother stood in the doorway watching. "What are you thinking?" Lena smiled. "That tomorrow I'll try more steps. And the day after that, even more." Her mother came in, sat beside her. "And when school says something stupid," Lena shrugged. "Then we tell them the truth, that I'm walking because people finally listened." Downstairs, Victor stood in his study, phoned his ear with a lawyer on the line, voice calm but firm. "I want precedents, advocacy groups, whatever it takes to make sure no child loses support because they got stronger." He paused, listening. "Yes, funded if needed. Start with our district. Make it policy if we have to." Outside, the first fireflies blinked in the darkening yard. Inside, a family prepared for a different kind of fight. Not against injury, but against a system that hadn't caught up to one little girl's quiet determination. The battle lines were shifting, and this time, they were ready. Summer heat settled over the city like a heavy blanket, turning the shop into a warm cave of oil scents and sunlight slanting through the open door. Lena no longer arrived in the wheelchair most days. She walked from the car with the lightweight walker, steps careful but confident, her mother or Victor trailing with the folded chair in the trunk just in case. Some afternoons she left it behind completely. By mid-July, Lena could cross the entire bay without support. 20 steps, 30, pausing only to steady herself against the workbench when fatigue crept in. Her legs had grown stronger, straighter. The old braces retired to a box and garage at home, replaced by simple ankle supports for longer days. She ran short distances now, 3 or 4 shuffling steps before laughter and wobble caught her, but real running all the same. One humid afternoon, Marcus had a small project waiting. A low wooden platform he'd built from scrap, about 6 inches high with a gentle ramp on one side. Lena spotted it right away when she walked in unassisted from the car, 25 steps across the gravel lot that had once seemed impossible. "What's that?" she asked, tilting her head. Marcus wiped his hands. "Thought you might want to practice curves. Or steps someday. No rush." Lena's eyes widened. "Steps? One at a time. When you're ready." Her mother settled on the stool with a book she wasn't reading, watching as Lena approached the platform. She stepped up onto it easily with one foot, then the other, standing taller. Then down again. Up, down. The motion smooth, natural. Lena laughed out loud. "It feels like climbing." Victor arrived midway through, loosening his tie in the heat. He stood in the doorway a moment, taking in his daughter, stepping up and down like any child on a playground. Something loosened in his shoulders. He walked over quietly, hands in pockets. "Mind if I join?" Lena grinned. "You have to take your shoes off." Shop rules for the platform. Victor kicked off his expensive loafers without hesitation, rolled up his trousers, and stepped up beside her. They went up and down together, Lena leading, Victor matching her careful pace. When she tired, they sat on the edge, legs dangling. "Dad," Lena said suddenly, "school starts in 3 weeks. I know. They want me to use the chair again. For safety. In case I fall in the hallway." Victor's jaw tightened. "We're meeting with the principal tomorrow. All 3 of us." Lena swung her legs. "What if they say no walking? Then we find a school that says yes." The meeting happened in a cool administrative office with posters about inclusion on the walls. The principal, special education coordinator, and school nurse sat across the table. Lena walked in unassisted 30 steps in the car to the conference room and sat in a regular chair. Her parents flanked her. The coordinator spoke first, kind but firm. "We're thrilled with Lena's progress." "Truly. But district policy requires consistent mobility aids for students originally classified under certain categories. Falls risk hallways, recess, emergencies." Victor leaned forward. "She's fallen twice all summer. Both times on grass. Both times she got up laughing. She's stronger than most kids her age now." The principal nodded. "We have liability concerns. Insurance protocols." Lena spoke up, voice clear. "I don't want to sit when I can walk. It makes my legs tired the wrong way." The nurse smiled sympathetically. "We can revisit in 6 months if progress continues." Victor's voice stayed calm, but steel ran through it. 6 months is half a school year. She'll lose ground sitting. We're not asking for removal of all supports. We're asking for flexibility, aid shadowing if needed, access to both chair and walking." The coordinator hesitated. "It's not that simple. Funding allocations." Victor slid a folder across the table. "Legal precedents, advocacy letters, a proposed individual plan drafted with our therapists, and a donation offer for staff training on dynamic mobility support. Enough to cover the district." The room went quiet. The principal cleared her throat. "We'll take this to the board. Expedited review." Lena's mother spoke for the first time. "While you review, may she walk with supervision." After a long pause, the principal nodded. "Temporary accommodation. Starting tomorrow." They left the building with no guarantees, but with a crack opened. Lena walked the whole way back to the car, 40 steps this time, hand in her father's. That evening, Victor stood in Lena's room while she practiced steps between her bed and the window. He watched her balance improve in real time. Lena, if the school doesn't bend, we'll switch. Private, public, whatever fits. You won't lose this. Lena stopped, looked at him. I know, but I want to stay. My friends are there. They haven't seen me walk yet. Victor knelt. Then we'll make them see. Word spread slowly through the neighborhood. Parents at the community center whispered about the cane girl who used to be in the chair. Some stared when Lena walked past with her family. Others smiled uncertainly. A few kids asked outright if she was better now. Lena answered simply, I'm stronger. One August evening, Victor hosted a small gathering in their backyard. Neighbors, a few school parents, the principal included. Lena walked among the guests carrying a tray of lemonade cups, steady and proud. Conversation stuttered, then shifted. By the end of the night, the principal pulled Victor aside. Board voted this afternoon. Full accommodation. Walking primary, chair available. Aid for transitions, if needed. Victor exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for months. Thank you. Don't thank me, the principal said quietly. Thank your daughter. She changed minds just by being herself. Later, under string lights, Lena danced with her mother. Simple swaying steps to soft music. Victor watched in the patio, eyes wet again, but this time without shame. When the song ended, Lena walked over and held out her hand. Your turn, Dad. He took it and they danced too. Slow, careful, but real. A billionaire and his 8-year-old girl moving together under summer stars. No walls left between them. Across town, Marcus closed the shop late, wiping down the platform one last time. He knew Lena wouldn't need it much longer. The space felt empty already, but in a good way, ready for whatever came next. He turned off the lights, locked the door, and stood in the warm night air moment. Progress wasn't loud. It was one honest step at a time. And Lena had taken enough to change everything around her. The system was bending, slowly, imperfectly, but bending all the same. School started on a bright September morning. The air crisp with the first real hint of fall. Lena walked to the front doors on her own, 45 steady steps from the drop-off line. Backpack light on her shoulders, ankle supports hidden under new sneakers. Her mother watched in the car until she disappeared inside, heart in her throat, but eyes dry this time. Victor had wanted to walk her in, but Lena had shaken her head. I need to do it myself the first time. Inside, the hallways buzzed with reunion chatter and slamming lockers. Heads turned as Lena passed. Some kids stared openly, others whispered. A few smiled like they weren't sure what to say. Her old aide, Mrs. Carter, waited by her classroom, face breaking into a genuine grin, when Lena walked up without the chair. Look at you, Mrs. Carter whispered, eyes misty. Just look at you. Lena smiled back. Hi, I'm in Mr. Ellis's class this year. I know, honey. Right this way. The morning went smoother than any of them had dared hope. Lena sat in a regular desk by the window. When the class lined up for specials, she joined the line, walking slow but sure. A boy named Jamal who'd been in her class since kindergarten fell in beside her. You really walking now? He asked quietly. Yeah, that's cool. He paused. Want to play tag at recess? Lena's face lit up. Yeah, but I'm still kind of slow. That's okay. We'll play freeze tag. At recess, the playground felt enormous after years of watching from the sidelines. Lena ran, short bursts, awkward but joyful, laughing when tagged, chasing when it was her turn. Other kids joined, some asking questions, most just playing. A teacher watched from the edge, ready to step in, but never needing to. Word spread fast. By lunch, more kids clustered around her table, curious but kind. One girl, Sophia, who'd always shared crayons and art, asked if it hurt. Only good hurt now, Lena said, like when you ride your bike a long time. Sophia nodded like that made perfect sense. After school, Lena walked back out the doors the same way she'd come in, tired legs, big smile. Her mother waited at the curb, trying not to look too anxious. How was it? Good. Really good. I played tag. And nobody stared too much after a while. That night at dinner, Lena recounted every detail. The hallway echoes, the new teacher's jokes, the way the playground blacktop felt under her sneakers. Victor listened without checking his phone once. When she finished, he cleared his throat. The district sent an email. They're rolling out new training for staff on flexible mobility plans, starting with your school. Other parents asked about it after seeing you today. Lena chewed thoughtfully. So more kids might get to try walking even if they have chairs? That's the idea. Victor's voice was quiet, proud, because one kid showed them it's possible. Fall deepened. Lena's walking grew stronger, distances longer. She ditched the walker completely by October, carrying it folded in her backpack, only for emergencies that never came. Stairs were still slow, one step at a time, hand on the rail, but she climbed them every day. The school installed a second railing on the main staircase, without anyone asking. One chilly November afternoon, Marcus got a visitor he hadn't expected. Victor arrived alone, no car service, driving himself in a plain sedan. He stepped into the shop, carrying a large wrap package. Marcus looked up from an oil change. Didn't expect to see you here, without Lena. Victor set the package on the workbench. She's at a birthday party. Walking there with friends. He unwrapped it slowly. A hand-carved wooden sign. Simple letters burned into oak. Listen first, repair second. Underneath, smaller, in honor of Lena Kane and every kid waiting to be heard. Marcus ran a thumb over the letters. Throat tight. You didn't have to. I did. Victor looked around a familiar bay. The platform still there, blankets folded neatly, bars waiting for whoever might need them next. This place changed everything for us. Not just her legs. All of us. Marcus nodded. She's a force. She is. Victor paused. We've started a foundation. Small for now. Funding shops like this to partner with therapists. Safe spaces for kids whose progress doesn't fit the forms. Legal support for families fighting schools or insurance. He met Marcus's eyes. We like you on the board. Advisory. Whatever time you can give. Marcus wiped his hands slowly. I fix cars. Not much else. You fix more than that. You proved it. Marcus looked at the sign again. Let me think on it. But yeah, if it helps another kid get heard. Count me in. Victor smiled. Small, real, the kind that reaches eyes now. Thank you for everything. As winter approached again, the city felt different. Stories filtered in quietly. Another child trying steps in converted garage. A school revising its policy after parents cited Lena's plan. An insurance company approving experimental therapy because a billionaire's lawyers made it impossible not to. Lena turned 9 in December. A party in the backyard with friends running wild. She danced without pausing, chased without falling, climbed the playset like it had always been hers. Victor watched from the patio, arm around his wife, both of them quiet with gratitude that felt too big for words. Later that night, after the guests left, Lena sat on the porch steps with Marcus, who'd come with a simple gift, a new toolbox painted bright blue. They watched snowflakes start to fall again, soft and silent. You cold? Marcus asked. Nah, feels good. He nodded. You know, that first day you came in, I knew something was off. But I never guessed all this. Lena leaned against his arm lightly. I did. Not all of it. But I knew if someone listened, I could try. Marcus put an arm around her shoulders. You were right. She smiled up at him. Thanks for being the someone. Inside, her parents watched through the window, letting the moment belong to them. The snow fell thicker, covering the yard in fresh white. Another winter. Another circle closing. But this time, everything was different. The girl who once sat silent now ran through her days. The father who built walls now opened doors. The mother who carried fear alone now shared hope. And the mechanic who fixed engines had helped mend something far deeper. The system hadn't changed everywhere. Not yet, but it had been in one city, for one girl, and the ripples were only beginning. Because when a child is finally heard, the world has to listen eventually. And Lena's voice, small, steady, unbreakable, was still speaking. The year turned quietly, not with headlines or ceremonies, but with ordinary days stacking gently on top of one another. Lena walked them all. By spring, the shop no longer needed blankets on the floor. The platform Marcus had built sat pushed against the wall, used now and then by other kids. Different stories, different bodies, same nervous hope. Lena still visited, but not to practice anymore. She came to help. She organized tools by size, learned to log simple repairs, sat with new families while their children watched from wheelchairs or walkers or braces, eyes wide in that same careful way she once had. Marcus noticed something important. Kids listened to Lena in a way they never listened to adults, because she didn't promise miracles. She just said, "This is where I started." And that was enough. The foundation Victor had started grew slowly, deliberately. No flashy galas, no giant logos, just quiet partnerships, shops, community centers, therapists willing to work outside rigid boxes, grants that paid for time instead of equipment, legal help for families fighting systems that punish progress. Victor no longer led from the front. He listened. At board meetings, when experts debated outcomes and risk models, he asked one question that changed the room every time. Has anyone asked a child? Sometimes there was no answer. Those meetings ended differently now. At school, Lena became normal, not inspirational, not a case study, not the girl who used to be in a chair. Just Lena. She complained about homework, argued with friends, got scraped knees from climbing too fast. She walked home with Jamal and Sophia, backpack bouncing, sneakers scuffed, legs tired in the way all kids' legs get tired. On the last day of third grade, the class ran laps in the yard for fun. Lena didn't finish first. She didn't finish last either. She finished laughing. That night, the family ate dinner outside. Fireflies blinked in the warm dark. Victor grilled badly. Lena teased him for burning the edges. Her mother leaned back in her chair, watching them both, finally at rest. After dessert, Lena slipped away and came back carrying her old braces. She set them gently on the table. "I don't need these anymore," she said, "but I don't want to throw them away." Victor looked at them, then at her. "What do you want to do with them?" Lena thought for a moment. "Give them to someone who needs time. Not rules, just time." Marcus picked them up the next day and hung them in the shop, not as a trophy, not as proof, as a reminder. Above them, he mounted the wooden sign Victor had gifted him. Listen first, repair second. Years later, when people asked Marcus how it all started, he never mentioned medical breakthroughs or billionaire funding or policy change. He said the same thing every time. A kid told the truth about her body. And one day, the world stopped telling her she was wrong. Lena grew. So did the ripple she started. And somewhere in another quiet garage, another child stood for the first time while someone listened.